Since the first movie didn't do so well in the box office, if the sequel can do better, I believe Sony can pull this off. We'll have to wait and see. What's up, everyone? DHRT, welcome back to my channel. So it seems like Venom 2 is going to be a more of a soft reboot. Even though I heard some negative reviews of the first movie, but I kind of understand where they were coming from, because I think Sony pretty much missed the mark on the design, and he's missing that spider logo. And I think we all know why Spider-Man was not really in it. But I think it's basically due to them focusing on the Venom origin and facing his enemies. So instead of having Spider-Man in it, they're gonna do some different stuff when it comes to the origins of his own comic book. But Spider-Man wasn't even, in the first issue of Venom. But I might be wrong, but we'll have to see. So let's go ahead and take a look, and I'll tell you my overall thoughts about it.
With Venom 2 going in front of cameras sooner rather than later, they're looking to meet that October of 2020 release date. There's already been changes behind the camera, with the director getting the boot and Andy Serkis coming on. Other behind-the-scenes changes are happening. And now we're hearing that it could serve as a soft reboot of sorts, so let's get into it. And as always, if you guys enjoy the content we have here, we do offer more. If you guys check out the little membership thing down below. Okay, so soft reboot, I have to explain what this is as opposed to a full-on reboot. If you look at the likes of Bumblebee, that film ignores events that happen within the universe, and it ignores them to a big degree, while also serving to acknowledge some of those events and characters, and it serves as a sort of standalone piece that could be seen as a reboot, but still has some of those things that it hinges on from the past. It's a very interesting way to handle things. Now, the rumor is coming at us is that Venom, specifically Venom 2, is going to serve as a soft reboot of the first film. Now, what I've been told personally is that this is something that they're looking at, and they are going to treat it as such, where you are keeping large elements of what happened in the first film. So you're looking at the likes of Woody Harrelson as Carnage. He's staying. Tom Hardy as Venom. He's staying. The universe they're in, that's all staying. But certain elements of the past and the future are going to retroactively be kind of added in there to add a little bit more depth to it. Now, I don't know why they could be doing this. My assumption would be is due to Spider-Man's involvement going forward, and of course the addition of Morbius. Now, this to me would make a lot of sense. Let's say, for example, if there's a scene of Eddie Brock and it flashes back to New York, who's to say that at some point he didn't run into Michael Morbius, and they establish a connective tissue there by having Jared Leto's Morbius appear, and they share, a conversation at the Bugle or something. Who really knows, right? I'm just spitballing here, but they could do that. And I think this is probably the best way they could take it. They certainly have a way better director this time with Andy Serkis. So if they treat this as a sort of soft reboot, they can pitch it to the people that maybe didn't like the first Venom movie and were like, I'm not going to go see the sequel. If the sequel was pitched as something, it's a brand new take on the character that's kind of devoid of what happened before, but it looks way better and we're handling it more seriously, it could bring these people back for a second round. This has happened before with franchises. It's certainly going to keep happening, and if we look at Hollywood, that's exactly what's happening with other franchises, like G.I. Joe, for example. They're like, well, it's not exactly a reboot with Snake Eyes, but it's a soft reboot, okay? Just, they're afraid to say it, but that's what it is, because the moment you say reboot, it's a negative, like a cloud above you, right? So they don't want to say it, but I've been told this was the case about a couple weeks ago, and now that other people are starting to come out with the same news, I'm inclined to believe that they are going to treat it like that. So they'll make sure they mention, events happened in the first film. Yes, they did, but check out these other things that happened that maybe you didn't see. Sort of like how Batman Forever was a soft reboot of what happened in the Keaton films, and then Batman and Robin was a continuation, but it also felt almost like a soft reboot of what happened in Forever.
But it was garbage.
It's an interesting way to do it, but it's Hollywood, and it's nothing if interesting. So it's going to be sweet to see how they handle this, but with Serkis behind the camera, I'm hyped.
Here's the thing with reboots in Hollywood in general. You have your certain ones that do great, some do bad, and some are just terrible that didn't need to be rebooted in the first place. Let's talk about the 2017 Power Rangers movie, and yes, I'm bringing it up. That movie failed because they added politics. They changed how the characters were in the original show, and the costumes and the Megazords, you know, and Goldar just look absolutely ridiculous. And I think, to me, that movie failed on its own, and they failed to capitalize of what the show was in the past. You know, you don't have to be cheesy, you don't have to be flashy, it can't be like the show, but just make sure that it stays close to the source material. And you know, Bumblebee, that movie was a reboot because it worked. Travis Knight did a fantastic job on directing the film because of how the visual effects, the CGI, and the way how the Autobots look, you know, and Decepticons looked so like the cartoons TV show, and they went back to the Generation 1 design, and that's what there is something Michael Bay should have done way back in '07 when he first came out with the first Transformers movies, though. But Travis Knight pretty much, you know, swept out Michael Bay's trash and just created a fresh, new take on the Transformers and digging it back to the '80s, and they done such a great job with it, though. But now I feel like Hollywood is just running out of ideas of just rebooting every single film. But certain ones I trust, like the Hasbro's Power Rangers movie, I trust that they'll do a great job. You know, if I were to choose a director, I would choose Travis Knight to direct the Power Rangers movie, because I hope that he says that he pretty much used to be a fan of the show, that he'll look at the old designs and make it to his own designs and make it more close to the source material and have a lot of action. I've said this 1,000 times. If they could just do it right, then you'll have yourself a great Power Rangers movie, though. But as far as Venom is concerned, I truly hope that they will knock it out of the park with this one, because the first film was bad, because I've seen the clips and I've seen how Venom was not looking right because he was missing the logo, and the CGI looked nice, though. You know, it's a lot better than the Spider-Man 3 movie. I'm just saying, true story. So hopefully Sony will not mess this up, because I hope that when the sequel is coming out, they'll have like Spider-Man in it and Carnage in it. That's the only thing I want to see. I want to see Spider-Man and Carnage in Venom 2. We don't know if it's going to be a reboot or not, but hopefully, whatever it is that Sony can do, we'll just hope for the best. But I truly think they messed up when they took Spider-Man out of the MCU. So, if you all enjoy my reaction to this, and my opinions on this as well, leave a comment down below. Until then, this is the HR2, and I'll see y'all later.